stone-cold vixen, Makima.
She's dressed like Columbo with a blank stare and a sadistic streak.
One more thing.
So, now that it's been 2 weeks since the Gojima hype kinda started to wear off, have my feelings toward this episode, which I kept praising non-stop in my reaction video, changed significantly?
Nope.
I still retain most of my initial thoughts, just with a added piece of analysis I like to dive into regarding the portrayal of one of these two characters. But here's some handy-dandy disclaimers beforehand. Number 1. There will be spoilers for the Chainsaw Man manga at this specific timestamp. Number 2. Nothing said in the part this video's title refers to is meant as an attack towards the voice acting performance of Kelsey Jaffer, as I think she did a stellar job with the direction she was given, including the 2 moments I have gripes with. And number 3, this video will be half my usual review of the death battle itself and half what you actually click for. But hey, if you click for both, might as well subscribe. Now, I still think both breakdowns are great, although Gojo is definitely more on the versus side of things than character side of things, while Makima is the opposite. On that note, I've only now realized why the editing in her breakdown impressed me more than Gojo's. Literally the vast majority of it is manga panels, as the anime has just started touching the surface of the character, so the anime bits we do get are more dressing than the main dish, a very amusing reversal from our usual is with anime episodes. And it also goes to show just how quickly they decided to strike the iron while it was hot with this matchup, which I'm thoroughly glad they did. I also love how the two are so unusually powered that they needed to set ground rules for this fight. Not even Bilko got that treatment. Onto the fight itself, probably already heard most of my and everyone else's praises already. I'm still in love with every single hand-drawn scene in this animation. The sprites work is really good too, and I wouldn't even try to get into understanding how complicated rigging can get, but like, they really nailed the subtle expressions such as Makima cranial side-eye or eye movement while complimenting Gojo actually tricking me into believing she was being genuine for half a second. Or even just this small scene of Gojo foreshadowing his bandageless self just shows how amazing the sprite work has gotten. Now, I could say that it's a bit distracting to go from great sprite work to great hand-drawn work, as I think the two involve different types of greatness, but each transition between the two art styles is so seamlessly done that it just ends up enhancing both instead of weakening one or the other. Just chef keys. The fight progression could be described as Makima throwing everything she has at Gojo and him laughing along as he nopes everything that is thrown at him, then deciding to end this fight pretty much the instant he's actually hurt and caught in a submissive but not beatable position. The chemistry between Gojo and Makima was everything I had hoped to be, with both of their chill and confident personalities clashing in opposite ways, with one being much more trollish about it, while the other tries to keep things as professional as possible. That is, until she decides to go ham as well, which prompted some criticism regarding her characterization, namely how her character was allegedly simplified to fit a sadistic dummy mommy box, or how her sadism was amped to 11 to make Gojo look better or her defeat even more cathartic than it would already be by default. As a Chainsaw Man fan who rooted against her in the battle itself, I have opinions regarding this notion. Let's analyze her characterization, with each scene being ranked on a scale from 1 to 5 pochitas, depending on how accurate I think her portrayal is. Full disclosure, I don't want to approach this from the perspective of a actually gatekeeper who thinks a character can only be done right one way. It's just my general overview at how much care was put into Makima's character accuracy, since we're in a season where that seems to be a major focus, as I've been very happy to point out and praise in past reviews. Starting from the preview session, I'd say it's pretty much flawless. How she stares at the screen with no emotion, thoroughly ignoring Gojo, brushing the scattered popcorn from her shoulder without missing a beat, and then giving the sorcerer a cinematically offensive side-eye before literally blowing him out of the room as she criticizes his lack of cinema etiquette.
No talking during the movie.
Pretty much perfect, no complaints here. For all of her cruelty, her love for movies is one of the few things Makima is genuine about. Hell, one of the few instances of significant emotion she displays in the manga is because of a movie scene showing her something she could never have, that being two equals hugging each other, because she cannot grasp the concept of a bond that doesn't involve enslavement and domination. Just how seriously she takes the moving-going experience would almost be endearing if we weren't talking about Makima. After yeeting some zombies at Gojo, Makima charges at him with a katana, with her attack being blocked by Gojo's limitless. Her annoyed reaction at this womp womp is a bit of a more comical take at her eternally stoic demeanor, but it still works. The way she just lets Gojo activate his red with no reaction or a little dodge, knowing she will regenerate by sacrificing a random Japanese citizen she couldn't care less for, is also a very accurate way of showcasing a more subtly eerie nature of her character. After regenerating, she says,
"Careful." I could have died.
And mention how that should matter more to Gojo since, being a Japanese citizen, he is statistically at risk of becoming the next sacrificial lamb. He's basically a real threat towards Gojo, conveyed in a typically falsely friendly tone. After the sorcerer flips the threat around and actually reassures Makima of being in no danger whatsoever, Makima giggles as she seemingly compliments Gojo for his strength, confidence and his idiocy, and how they will gladly write his attributes on his tombstone. Now that is a pretty raw line of dialogue on its own, but I want to focus on the whole "we deal" she mentioned twice, referring to her and her various devils at her command.
We'll be sure to write it on your tombstone. I hope we don't kill you too quickly.
In any other character you think this is her appreciating teamwork and seeing her and her team as one, but applying that to Makima here give me the same vibes as those default similarly cordial emails with no genuine intent behind them, you know, like "we'll contact you soon, we wish you a great evening, we hope you will recommend to your friends," etc. Again, perfectly fitting with her full professional courtesy thingy. She then tries to
Calm.
Gojo, but you can't outfox this little fox, so he just no-sells it and disintegrates Makima for like the third time in a row. And for this we have to zoom in a bit, but you can see her lowering her hand as she realizes the fox didn't work either, as she again poses zero resistance to an attack she already knows she'll come back from. But I can just imagine her putting the most annoying side possible in her mind while this happens. Bit of a salvo humor there. Also, this is another side note, but I love this shot of her in the flames eating her classic pose as she brushes debris off her shoulder, and the zombie horde charging around her at a World War Z. I know they use these zombie models a lot throughout that battle, but I find this instance to possibly be the most forgivable since she literally holds control of that zombie devil. It's not the same as in Dio vs Alucard, where Alucard controls pretty much entire varied armies for various cultures. Speaking of that episode, you can see the exact same knife store Dio got a knife from in this scene right here, which is a very nice nod from one popular anime-themed OP hero vs regenerative villain with strong opinions on dog matchup released around Halloween to the next. Gojo pulls Makima towards him with blue, and this is where the problems start arising. Now, her first bang? Flawless. Exactly how I imagine her saying it while reading manga. Realizing she finally managed to land an attack on Gojo, she does a fully throated grin and downright giggles at seeing her opponent fall on the remains of his own leg, which was admittedly rather brutal. The overly joyful demeanor and evil laugh afterwards are what's pointed at in regards to her out-of-character accusations. Now, does the ever stoic and smirk-prone Makima outright laugh in the manga? Yes, after she made Denji lose everything he cared for in a supremely fucked up moment. The defenses I've read regarding this bit being about how this is Makima laughing because she finally managed to hurt the strongest, like she finally managed to break the Chainsaw Man, and like, sure, I can see her growing more satisfied in finally damaging a seemingly untouchable foe, but not as necessarily having a riot and laugh about it like say modern Harley Quinns or Junko and Oshima would, especially with a stranger that's not Chainsaw Man. If this is the voice actress being directed to give her 100 sadistic villainous energy, I would have personally opted for a 75 instead, if not downright 50. Still a great performance though, don't get me wrong. She then does the whole be a good boy bit, which I will admit does kinda feel like an obligatory do it for the dummy mommy memes thingy. But it is something she actually says in the manga too, so let's just say I can agree with both sides on this one. It's tricky to say because I've seen Jujutsu Kaisen fans say that they both nailed Gojo and that it feels more like a character of him. Now again, I cannot say much about the accuracy of that, having not seen Jujutsu Kaisen, but I can see having a similar stance towards Makima portrayal in this scene so far in this animation. And I believe it does go to show that in an admittedly short time span these animations have, it does make sense to give in a redux version of these characters that will appear again in the show, if not for a number of seasons beforehand. And now that approach that can lead to mixed reception depending on what you decide to focus on with this summarized adaptation of these characters. She summons the angel level and lets out yet another laugh, and this is personally the most character moment for me. She's not even laughing at anything, it's not a response nor a reaction, it's almost as if she remembers a funny joke or something. Now, her keeping that smirk and silently staring down at Gojo with her glowing eyes as the angel devil portal bursts open and she doesn't even flinch for the impact, just silently dominating without a word, that would be in a peak Makima content. Pikima. Whatever. So overall, I would say that Makima's portrayal in this fight honestly gets more things right than it does wrong. Even the moments that do get her quote wrong only drag down what would otherwise be a 10 out of 10 characterization and portrayal to a, I don't know, 7.5 to 8. It's not exactly the biggest case of mischaracterization in that battle. I've seen people describe her as if this battle was made by people who haven't read the manga or watched the anime, and I was like, slow down a bit, Buckaroo, okay? Slow down a bit. Next, we have a scene that I actually want to defend from the auto-character criticism. As Gojo activates his unlimited void expansion and says the iconic catchphrase,
"Throughout heaven and earth, I alone am the honored one,"
which could be seen as another dare to be there thingy, but personally I believe it fits as a response to Makima acting like she's all that, basically saying, no, I am all that. Makima emits what I can only describe as quivering noises as her mind is overwhelmed with infinite information, followed by an absolutely terrified scream as the concept of zero is applied onto her very being, atomizing her. Now, in her own canon, did Makima scream as she died? No. However, that was another instance entirely with entirely different circumstances, as this Reddit post explains much better than me. Gojo destroyed all of her minions, survived the bang attacks, broke out of her control, and overwhelmed her brain with infinite information to the point of leaving her stunned and paralyzed. Makima was placed in a state of powerlessness unlike she's ever canonically been in, so again, it's actually a bit tricky to assess how she would react in this scenario. But considering how she felt in control for most of her life, and that she is shown to be able to be evidently emotive in specific scenarios, I'd say blood-curdling screams of terror aren't a far-fetched reaction. It's kinda like Homelander devolving into a shouting animal the first time he ever got jumped in his life back in The Boys Season 3, which is a brilliant segue to my next point, because let's just say Homelander is no longer the only episode whose success evidently comes in great part from wanting to see an otherwise untouchable character get folded. And I will admit, I was one of those people who came into the episode hoping to see Makima being defeated, to the point I care more about that outcome than whether characterization was portrayed accurately or not during my reaction, which I wish to apologize for, as it would be hypocritical for me to hold character accurate episodes such high regard, then place that as a secondary priority because of my own whims. That said, in my defense, let's just say there was a personal element to play on why I wanted to see her lose. Why I was so joyful at hearing and seeing her being so powerless. So let's just say I have a thing for model characters, whether they're literal or figurative models.
Shut the fuck up! You shut the
And modelly is precisely what Makima was towards Denji for most of the story, as it was intended to be the case in her very name. And when I read the manga, I was in a mind space where I pretty much saw her exactly like Denji did, loving and nurturing nature and knowing the flags as red as her hair. Then all came crumbling down as it was revealed she gave Denji a home, friends and a family, only to rip it all away from him till it was a human dog with no will of its own besides serving her. Coupling that with her doing things such as killing Quan Chi's girlfriends after she surrendered, having Angel Devil destroy his own home just to show his powers, or force Denji into killing his best friend Aki. I'm sorry, I essentially was on my Griffith phase, and I was left a void that not even the canonically and admittedly humiliating demise fully fulfilled. Sure, I'm sure that all these emotions I felt were 100% intended by the author, and all this coupled with her being the way she is due to being raised as a human weapon by the government, thus depriving her of the capability to understand genuine love, makes her a great character and an amazing villain in my eyes. But yeah, I won't lie about how cathartic it felt to hear the sheer terror in her voice as she was defeated in such an overwhelming fashion. And yes, I know, it's probably silly, spiteful, and probably even childish to seek catharsis in this of all things, but I just feel like being sincere about what this ending personally means to me. Believe it or not, I still will be praising this episode animation, analysis, voice acting and music even if she won, just with 20% more sadness in my voice. On that note, the whole thing about this fight and its limitless debates is that it was very up to interpretation. And the interpretation that the battle decided to go for honestly sounds reasonable to me. Believe it or not, this is not my bias talking. I feel like they were fair. It's not like they gave Makima zero advantages whatsoever. It's just that Gojo was indeed that guy, and she never quite faced someone like him in canon. Even the closest thing she ever encountered to Unlimited Void, that being the Halloween knowledge of Cosmos thingy, was still a finite amount of knowledge, even if cosmically colossal for us mortals. Also, side note, since I don't know where else to put this, I think this is the only death battle to feature an epilogue, only in the storyboard form though. But still, basically Gojo meets Denji and Nayuta, the reincarnation of Makima, with almost zero memories of her past self, and the latter calls the sorcerer a doggy, to which Denji apologizes for in true Big Brother fashion, and she says it's actually a compliment since she still likes dogs. Gojo just smiles and tells Denji to take care of her, before walking away. That would have been a very sweet ending, but I can understand not wanting to confuse anime onlys even more. Let's get into the themes. Who wears the crown references uneasy lies the head that wears the crown, a line from a Shakespeare play that symbolizes the difficulty of being the most powerful, relating to how both Gojo and Makima's strength causes them difficulties in relationship with others. I read this from the wiki, by the way. Not only a brilliant title, but a brilliant track art that mixes together both combatants' main color motif, while also referencing Gojo red, blue and purple, and Makima's chains, on top of their iconic eyes staring into my soul, making for a very eerie vibe. The track itself combines the energetic breakcore for Chainsaw Man music with a Japanese instrument from Jujutsu Kaisen music, in yet again another season 10 banger, and a fourth vocal track in a row too, that's a first. After dwelling on it for a bit, I deemed the theme for this episode to be expanding versus limiting. Gojo is all about expanding and going outside boundaries, whether it's traditional Jujutsu society, or the little limitless potential of his powers, or the infinite stream of information he can shove into his opponent's brain anytime he wishes. But Makima is all about limiting, controlling, shackling down with little chains anything and anyone she wants, be it via mental enslavement, a desire to use Chainsaw Man as an eraser tool, or the general way she manipulates and discards anyone she wishes until they're dead. And sometimes even after that. The arsenal of powers in minions was limited in return, especially compared to Gojo's, with the immortality contract that relied on a numerous yet finite Japanese population. Hell, even our understanding of human emotion is limited. In comparison, Gojo is fully ready to train his students so that they will stand next to him, and even beyond that. In the end, Makima met someone she just couldn't domain. So yeah, even with a few lapses in characterization, still a really great episode. Probably not my new favorite like I said in the reaction while I was in full hype mode, but still a very probable spot in either my top 5 or top 3. And Lord knows how even more personal next episode is gonna get, featuring 2 characters I loved since childhood in an episode I only dreamed of ever happening. Well, we'll see the dream come true surely, so in the meantime, drink a lot of water and do the same. I'm Marco Crichton, I hope I made your day slightly better.